Good day and welcome. My name is Leana, and today we are going to answer some questions from our loyal readers. One of our London angels posed the following question: how do I get my husband back? We are still together, but he is slipping away quickly. Every day he is more distant, and I'm feeling that in no time he will want a divorce. There are no signs of another woman in his life, but who knows? I'm present as best as I can for him, although I do have to work and take care of our 5-year-old. Anything you can offer will be greatly appreciated. Well, my beautiful London angel, first and foremost, I'm going to stand on my knees and beg with all my heart. Please be vigilant of the messages that you send into the universe. Things like divorce papers being delivered and bad marriages and struggling all the time. Those are not the kind of messages we want to send to the universe. Reason being, the universe will deliver them. If that is what you expect, that sadly is what you will get. So let's change your expectancy. In situations that are difficult, I do understand that it is not always easy to be positive and to see the brighter side of life. But I promise you there actually is one. I noticed that you make mention of a 5-year-old. Now, I'm in the privileged position to have them range from 19 to 3. So I have more or less a good idea of what you are experiencing and what it is that you are going through at the moment. They are quite the handful, I'm aware. So let's ask you the following questions. Do you have a structure in place in your home when it comes to your 5-year-old? In other words, do we all sit at the table at the same time and eat? TV is no place to have dinner and should under no circumstances be the local get-together place. Secondly, does your little one have a bath schedule? Does he have a bath at a specific day, a specific time during the day? And also, does he have a bedtime schedule? Those things are very, very important, because what our little ones do, and we do in turn, is we feel guilty. So our little ones steal our time and they steal our space because they are our little ones, and we allow them all these beautiful things because we feel so guilty because mommy has to work all day. And now I come home and I have this little bit of time with you, so mommy extends the time. The problem with extending that time is that it takes away from the time you should have with your husband, and also very little of that extended time is usually conducive because our little one has to sleep and he has to be in his own space. And he has to have a specific structure in place, knowing that this happens and that does not. It's also less stressful when you have a very specific structure in place. My household runs on structure, and personally it works for me. If it has to have no structure, I think I'm going to end up somewhere I don't belong. So, I think it's important that if you don't have these things in place, to please put them in place. If your little one is going to bed at 8 o'clock, it leaves you ample time to spend with your husband. Another thing, after dinner and bath time, take that hour, the last hour before your little one has to go to bed and has to go sleep, and spend that time together. Play games, just play with him, tickle him, run around. I'm assuming as a boy, and my apologies if it's a little girl. But I think use the time conducively and spend that time together as much as you can. Once we have our little one into a structure, then let's just put him aside for half a second. Then we can move on to your relationship. What I would suggest you do is start making your husband part of everything that you do. You know, us as women has this uncanny ability to want to do everything ourselves. Heaven knows why, but that's how we are, and this is what we do. So we cook, we clean, we have to bath the little one, you have to play with him, you have to. And Dad sits on the couch going, and why on earth am I here? What is my function? Other than taking out the trash, what am I doing here? Start making him part of all your chores and all the little things that you do. It is not to give him something to do. It is to spend more quality time with him. And that is the purpose. The purpose is not to teach him to cut onions. I'm quite sure he can cut an onion. But these are things that I do whenever I cook and I need to quickly discuss something with my husband. I will tell him, love, don't you want to cut the onions for me? Or pour us a glass of wine? Or whatever it is that I'm busy with, so that he becomes part of all the events during the evening. That way you start engaging, and once we engage, we can start to communicate properly. In view of the fact that I am uncertain of the amount of interaction you have in terms of communication, I'm going to make a few suggestions. If you already do them, wonderful. Carry on with those. If not, maybe it's a good time to start. One of my favorite social platforms is the WhatsApp tool. And what I do is I speak to my husband quite a few times during the day. I love to say I love you. I love to thank him. And sometimes just a reminder, don't send him orders. Please, for goodness sake, he knows what to do. He's a grown-up. We, as women, have a tendency to treat our husband the same way we treat our children. We tell them what to do. They aren't very fond of it. So, learn to remember that he is your husband. He's not one of your children. And he should be treated as such. So, if you guys do not speak during the day, maybe start with communication via one of the social media platforms, preferably not Facebook, because right now you are in a building phase, and that should be a one-on-one thing between the two of you. So I would use something like WhatsApp and send him a message. You know, in all the many, many years that I have been doing this and having interviews and sessions with people, what most of the men came out saying truthfully when they were having an affair was, the affair made me feel valued. It made me feel appreciated. My opinion mattered. What I thought mattered. And if you think back to the beginning of your relationship, that is exactly how you treated your husband. All of us treat our husbands that way, or our boyfriends that way in the very beginning of a relationship. The problem is that we lose that somewhere after a few years in our relationship. So what we need to start doing is to focus and find that space that you were in when you fell in love. When you met him, when you were so high on life, it was almost ridiculous. And go back to that space and find that space. And remember to appreciate your husband. Remember to thank him. Remember to love him. We always think that love needs to be on a more physical side, and it doesn't. What love sometimes means is just to listen, to say please and thank you, to appreciate another human being for the fact that they are merely there and that they show you up. We also have quite a tendency to project whatever our fears are onto our partners. Deal with your fears rather than projecting them, because it just pushes your partner into a space where he goes, whatever, just whatever. Another thing in terms of time, in that hour that you have with your husband, make him a cup of coffee, sit on the couch with him and spend some decent quality time with him. That is very important. And if you guys don't speak in the beginning, so be it. That's fine. You don't have to. But you do have to take the time and spend it with one another, irrespective of how long it takes before your communication picks up properly. And for goodness sake, when you sit there next to him and that silence is becoming exceptionally uncomfortable, especially for women, men can actually be quiet. You know how they do it, but they actually do it. So please, please, please don't sit there and talk about every single person at your office. Don't judge, sit with those judgment conversations. Oh, this one did that, and that one did that, and shush, shush. He's not interested. I promise you he's not interested. The only thing he's interested in is to find out where your compass is at that time. And that may take some time for the two of you to start communicating again. But make him part of things and make him part of your feelings. I've learned that sometimes we forget to share with one another what we feel. And if you are sad and you are unhappy, you tell him, you know what, today my heart hurts because I miss my mom, for example, if she's passed on. I really miss her. I looked at the trees today and remember a day that we would start sharing that part of yourself that you keep locked up. Because if you don't start sharing, you cannot expect him to share back whatever he is experiencing and whatever he is feeling. One other little tidbit that I wanted to give to you was this. If your son is sleeping in your bed, it is time for him to now move out to his own space, please. He does not belong in mommy and daddy's bed at the age of 5 anymore. 2 or 3 I can understand, but older than that he needs to move to his own space. I hope that in all the sentences are strung together, that one or two of them is able to assist you and will guide you. Please remember that every single day you are loved, you are worth it, and you are valued. Thank you for the opportunity to give you a little bit of feedback. Be blessed.